Would eating grains mixed in that manner actually be beneficial for your health? Some noodles are crafted entirely from flour, while others blend in different grains. However, these mixed grain noodles are twice as expensive as those made purely from flour. For that higher price to be truly justified, you must know if your body is a tender body type or a tough body type, because the raw ingredients of those more expensive noodles must align with your constitution for optimal benefit. When determining the body type of either a companion dog or a person, the face is the most crucial area to examine. It's often said that the eyes in particular are closely observed. So, when it came to discerning one's constitution, a photo was all that was necessary. I personally had mine identified in 2014. But it's not the case that just anyone can have their companion dog's constitution discerned. After discovering your constitution, you must consistently put it into practice, observe an improvement in your health, and also ensure that. Also, my relationships with people around me became more at ease. When the positive effects of adapting to my body type were clearly evident from diligent application, if you happen to have a companion dog, you could specifically have your companion dog's body type identified as well. My companion dog is now 17 years old in Korean age, and because he's at such an extremely advanced age where it's difficult for him to be active, he primarily spends most of his time lying down. So I'm going to put my companion dog down and continue with the filming. This is typically where my beloved companion dog mainly resides. He needs a little bit of assistance from his owner even when he's drinking water. Let's see if he'll drink some. Yes, he just drank some water. Then I move him to his designated spot like this to help him sleep or rest comfortably and peacefully. I'll be talking about body types progressively, but the particular food items I've set aside to discuss with you today are actually foods related to both rice and wheat. There are regions where rice is predominantly consumed, and others where wheat serves as the primary staple. In Eastern cultures, rice is frequently the staple food, whereas in Western societies, wheat is typically the main dietary component. When it comes to rice, people typically prepare it by cooking and enjoying it with various side dishes, which is generally how dietary life is structured in Korea. However, nowadays, instead of cooking rice from scratch, you can simply purchase instant rice, heat it in the microwave, and it's ready to eat. It's incredibly convenient, as you can see here. And now you will be able to see the rice like this. I mentioned earlier that rice is considered suitable for all body types. That means it matches well with everyone's constitution. Body types are broadly water, fire, earth, and air. Among these, 2 are considered tender body types and 2 are tough body types. However, there are not many foods that are well suited for both tender and tough body types. Interestingly, rice, along with wheat, salt, and sugar, are reportedly suitable for all 4 body types. So even though rice is considered suitable for all body types, there are various types of grains, and these days it's quite popular to mix several different grains together to eat, as it's believed to be very beneficial for one's health. And in Korea, the average price for things like this, when you don't just buy one, but rather a package containing several, is about 1,000 won, which is around $0.7 US when converted. However, for instant rice, especially varieties crafted with a blend of assorted grains like mixed grain rice, the cost typically escalates to about 2 to 3 times the price of regular rice. But the question remains, is it truly beneficial for your health to consume a mixture of different grains? Not at all, because even grains are categorized into those for the tender body type and those for the tough body type. You could end up paying 2 to 3 times more for something that might not be suitable for you. This means you could be spending a lot of money and still experience health issues, which is essentially throwing away money and ruining your body. Therefore, it's essential to understand whether a particular grain is suitable for a tender or tough body type for it to actually benefit your health. Consuming grains that are not compatible with your body's constitution might in fact prove detrimental. Nowadays, people in Korea also consume a lot of flour, and it's mainly eaten in the form of noodles like these. Some noodles consist entirely of 100% flour, while others mix in various grains. Noodles that are exclusively made with flour pose no problem because they are well suited for both tender body types and tough body types. And as you can see right here, there are these types of bread. In the West, bread is a staple food, and now in the East and in Korea, people are increasingly eating more bread. Before, this was just considered a snack or a treat, but now, more cases are emerging where bread is consumed as a staple food. There are instances where bread is made using only flour, and in such cases, it poses no problem because it suits both the tender and tough body types. So, for the one who created this bread, let's take a look at the ingredients in this food product. So what this series of bread items is promoting and asserting is this. Normally, if a loaf of bread, similar to the instant rice, costs around 1,000 won or $0.7, that would be its standard price. However, by adding superior ingredients, they can effectively charge twice as much, right? What they are promoting here is that they've incorporated a lot of protein. By doing so, they've managed to significantly increase the price of the product. Nowadays, it's quite popular to have meals high in protein, reduce carbohydrate intake, and consume less sugar. However, the effectiveness of this approach greatly depends on the type of protein ingested. If the protein is suitable for a tender body type, it will benefit them, and if it's for a tough body type, it will benefit them. Therefore, understanding one's body type is crucial, is more important. Therefore, the protein found in this particular series of products, what's used in this specific case, is derived from soybeans. In the case of soy protein, which is white soybean, is that white soybean suitable for a tender body type or a tough body type? And these types of bread products always require a bit of oil, and this one specifically states canola oil. So would canola oil be suitable for a tender body type or a tough body type? While a very small amount is okay, when the quantity is significant, it's crucial to know if you possess a tender body type or a tough body type before consumption. Therefore, when this product is advertised as having a lot of protein, it explicitly states high protein on the packaging. Here in Korean, it's written as high protein, low sugar bagel. In such cases with high protein content, the crucial factor is whether the raw ingredient providing that protein is suitable for a tender body type or a tough body type. So for these kinds of products, compared to those made with just regular flour, the price is twice as high. Therefore, to truly justify that doubled price, you need to understand whether the raw ingredients are compatible with a tender body type or a tough body type before consuming them. So if I were making the choice rather than opting for a food product that has all sorts of ingredients mixed together, I would prefer to purchase instant rice made exclusively from just rice, or a food item produced using only 100% flour, purely containing just flour. That's what I would choose. I believe that is significantly superior. There are numerous instances where various grains are blended and sold at a higher price. However, if those specific ingredients are not compatible with your body, it is crucial to understand that you would merely be throwing away money and ruining your body simultaneously.
The four human types, the Taeyang Constitution, Taeum Constitution, Seoyang Constitution, and Soyum Constitution, did not evolve to persist in all living beings. Creatures with large populations, such as humans, dogs, cats, and even mice, have evolved in such a way that all four constitutional types can survive. However, for most other animals, the remaining constitutions became extinct, and only a single specific constitutional type was able to persist. There are numerous animals that have evolved in such a manner. These animals evolved such that only one constitution survived, and similarly, other animals also evolved with only one surviving constitution. So these animals are of the tender constitution, aligning with the Taeyang and Soyum types. Then, for the tough constitution, encompassing the Soyang and Taeum types, you have these specific animals. What's more, these particular animals also underwent evolution, such that 3 of their constitutional types eventually became extinct, with only a single type remaining. Companion animals that live alongside humans, particularly dogs and cats, have evolved such that all 4 human types have survived within their populations. Consequently, these 4 constitutional types are observed in them, much like in humans. The 4 human types theory is a concept that merges both Eastern and Western ideas. As such, it is a universal truth, applicable and readily accepted in both the East and the West. According to the principles of the 4 human types as represented on the Korean flag, I will now demonstrate this. Here we have the Soyang Constitution. This is the Taeyeom Constitution. And this is the Soyum Constitution. That is the Taeyang Constitution. If you look closely here, you'll see that this particular bar, this trigram, is the same image. For the Taeyang and Soyum constitutions, if you look at the very bottom bar, you'll find it's quite long. This is a symbol representing the concept of yang. Thus, the Taeyang and Soyum constitutions both originate from yang. And here, this bar that's divided into short segments represents yin, and as you can see, both the Soyang and Taeyum constitutions have yin at the bottom. They are constitutions that were derived from yin. If we apply this theory to the ancient Greek notion of the 4 temperaments, namely water, fire, earth, and air, then earth, in this context, refers to the Taeyum constitution. Fire represents the Soyang constitution. Water, meanwhile, corresponds to the Soyum constitution, while air corresponds to the Taeyang constitution. My dog and I are both of the tender constitution. Yes, we are both tender constitution types. So, those with a tender constitution are well matched with others of the same constitution, as they share similar dietary needs, personalities, and ways of thinking, leading to great compatibility. Likewise, individuals with a tough constitution find excellent compatibility among themselves, sharing similar foods, personalities, and thought processes, which fosters strong connections. However, there are very few compatible food items that can be shared between those with tender and tough constitutions. Rice, wheat, salt, and sugar are typical foods that are suitable for both tender and tough constitutions. The division between tender and tough constitutions hinges on differences in internal organ function. In Korean, we have a saying, liver came out of the belly, liver is big, and liver is swollen. Those are common expressions, and they are indeed related to the tough constitution. This is because the tough constitution is one where the liver and heart are overactive. Also, in the Korean language, when we talk about expressions related to the heart, we have terms like strong heart, or on the flip side, small heart, heart is soft, or heart is weak. That is to say, the former story is related to the tough constitution. The latter is a story related to the tender constitution. This internal organ function difference manifests as personality. So I can say that differences in personality are differences in constitution. I've put stickers on my hand in this way. In Eastern philosophy, the fundamental principles are yin, yang, and the 5 elements. The 5 elements, in fact, refer to 5 types of natures or flows of energy. The colors here represent wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, and these can be correlated with the 5 zang and 6 few organs in our traditional Korean medicine: liver, heart, spleen, lungs, kidneys. Gan means liver, shim means heart, bai means spleen, tai means lungs, and shin means kidneys. They also represent the gallbladder, small intestine, stomach, large intestine, and bladder. Dam is the gallbladder. So refers to the small intestine, wi is the stomach, dae is the large intestine, and bang is the bladder. The internal organ function differences between the tender and tough constitutions are precisely opposite. Therefore, if any specific organ or its function is overactive or excessively stimulated, it needs to be brought down. It needs to be brought down, and if it's too depleted, it needs to be lifted up, boosted, and supplemented. Now, let's see how we should manage the internal organ function for this tender constitution. For individuals with the tender constitution, since the liver's function is considered deficient, it becomes crucial to enhance it. Therefore, it absolutely needs to be strengthened and boosted. The symbol of strengthening is gold, so I put on a gold ring. Since the tender constitution's heart needs strengthening, I used gold. However, the heart, kidneys, liver, and lungs are in a seesaw relationship. So if one organ is overactive, its counterpart becomes weak. Conversely, if one organ's function is reduced, the other becomes overactive. This indeed reflects a seesaw relationship. In the tender constitution, because the liver and heart are in a state of deficiency, the lungs and kidneys must inherently be in a state of overactivity. So when it's overly active, you have to bring it down. You must reduce its function. As a symbolic representation of that, I put on silver like this. The kidneys also need to be brought down. They must be weakened. So if the tender constitution is this way, the tough would be the opposite, right? For the tough constitution, the liver needs to be weakened because the liver is too overactive. In addition, the heart also needs to be suppressed or weakened. However, the lungs must be boosted or strengthened. The kidneys also need to be strengthened. See, the functions of the tender and tough constitutions are opposite to each other. Therefore, the foods that are suitable for each constitution are inevitably the opposite. Alright, as I previously mentioned, there are certain foods that are universally suitable for all constitutions. The prime examples are rice and wheat. I will now personally demonstrate by having both my pet dog and myself consume them. A significant number of instant rice products made by cooking rice in this way are readily available and widely sold on the market. I'll try feeding it some rice. In addition to rice, wheat is another suitable food for all 4 human types. Most often, wheat is processed into flour, which is then used to make either noodles or baked into bread for consumption. This is the actual bread bag from the bread product that I showed you in the video earlier. So there's this type of bread, and then there's this other type. Let me show you the raw ingredients. Now, these are noodles, and if you look closely here at the list of raw ingredients, you'll see that it contains wheat flour nothing but wheat flour. Also, there's just a little bit of salt included. I also said salt and sugar suit all types. So this one has almost nothing else mixed in besides wheat flour, and then this one. Upon reviewing the raw ingredients, it specifies wheat flour, with the wheat itself being sourced from the United States and Canada. Next is isolated soy protein. This is from China. Soy protein refers to white soybeans. Then there's canola oil, which says here it's from Canada, Australia, and the Czech Republic. And then, after that, there are also mixed products with various synthetic ingredients in them. Right, so this one, it doesn't have any other ingredients besides wheat flour. It's a type of bread that clearly states plain right here on the packaging. And this product here, if you look at it closely, you'll see it contains
여기에 보면은 이제 다른
it's a bagel mixed with cranberries and
호두가
walnuts.
섞인 그런 베이글입니다.
This one's ingredients list shows flour like the other. Also, isolated soy protein from white soybeans and canola oil. And it states that it contains dried cranberries and also walnuts are present in it.
그렇게 써 있습니다.
Alright, this one is the plain kind, and this other one is a bread that contains both cranberries and walnuts. Now, my pet dog and I, we both eat the same food. We eat the same food. What I eat, my pet eats too. And what my pet eats, I also partake in. But I don't, however, eat its kibble. Yes, this is the bread. Here, you can find these sorts of things. It is confirmed that the walnuts and cranberries that were added earlier are present in this. It would also be quite good to eat this by adding some jam to it. Now, this is the jam that contains these ingredients. And yes, my dear Duel, our cherished companion is currently in the end-of-life stage, requiring special care.
저희 들레는 지금 이제 임종기입니다.
End-of-life care typically refers to that period when an individual is nearing the end of their life. However, during end-of-life care, there's a high probability that it will overlap with a time when group feeding is required. Group feeding is a type of meal service where you don't prepare your own food and cannot choose what to eat, but rather must consume what's provided by a facility. This is a distinguishing characteristic. In end-of-life care, people are likely to be in situations where they have to rely on group feeding, primarily because most individuals at this stage reside in nursing homes. This is a stage that applies to humans in their case. In that situation, it would be difficult to eat according to my constitution. So for pets, their end-of-life care phase is typically estimated to last approximately 1 year. So for humans, approximately how long would someone be considered in the end-of-life care stage? 1 year for a pet is equivalent to approximately 6 to 7 years for a human. So for a person, the end-of-life care period is likely to be around 6 to 7 years. However, since humans receive extensive medical treatment, that period of end-of-life care can potentially be extended significantly. During that period, as you'd be eating from a group feeding program, it would be challenging to selectively consume meals tailored to your specific constitution. The same principle applies to your pet dogs. Currently, my pet dog is also experiencing mobility problems. So rather than giving him natural home-cooked meals, I largely feed him commercial kibble. This period for him can be seen as a time of group feeding. Everyone eventually reaches their end-of-life care period. The same applies to our pets as well as to humans. Therefore, before entering the end-of-life care period, and while you can still prepare your own meals or select what you eat, consuming foods that properly align with your unique constitution is the most effective way to prevent illness. With that, I'm genuinely thankful for this Sasang constitutional medicine food, which has enabled my cherished canine companion to live a long, healthy life, free from any sickness or disease. Sasang constitutional medicine includes the Taiyang constitution, which is also known as the air constitution. On the opposite side, there's the Taiyum constitution, also called the earth constitution. And then there's the Soyang constitution, or fire. Its opposite, the Soyum constitution, is also called the water constitution. So these four distinct types constitute the Sasang constitutional medicine, and our beloved dog is categorized under the tender constitution. The tender constitution refers to the Taiyang and Soyum constitutions combined. As I mentioned earlier, the tough constitution, which is the opposite, refers to the Soyang and Taiyam constitutions. Each constitution is is inherited like a blood type and it is passed down from one of the parents. I'm going to put together a list of the specific foods that my dog consumed which allowed him to live such a wonderfully long and healthy life, and then I will meticulously record their names in my book.
해보겠습니다.
Since both rice and wheat are universally suitable for all body constitutions, these specific food items undoubtedly merit recognition and an award. And as you can see right here, it explicitly states Otogi cooked rice. I want to make sure to record this product as well as this other one here that clearly states Salmon noodles on the packaging. And this particular food item is primarily composed of a significant amount of wheat flour along with various supplementary ingredients which are added in smaller quantities. This particular package is labeled as a high-protein, low-sugar belly button bagel, and this one also carries the same label. However, the first one contains cranberries and walnuts, while the second one is just plain. The one with cranberries and walnuts is particularly suited for individuals with a tender constitution. Given the ingredients included for their high protein content and the type of oil used, this product can also be categorized as a food suitable for those with a tender constitution. It clearly aligns with the dietary recommendations for the tender constitution. If it's a food like that, it's suitable for my dog's constitution. And this is a picture of me actually. It is a food that is suitable for both me and my dog. And this right here is Korean currency. These are South Korean banknotes and coins, and the people on them also have their own constitutions. Of course, because photographs of these individuals don't exist, their likenesses are preserved in portraits. It's important to understand that the artist's own unique characteristics are often reflected in these works, meaning these portraits might not perfectly represent the original appearance of these historical figures. So it's not that we can know their constitution simply from their portraits. Rather, we can deduce their personality and way of thinking from the books they left behind, the paintings they created, or anecdotes about them, which then allows us to determine their constitution. The individuals depicted here are of the tender constitution, meaning this particular food is suitable for them. And this specific person is also categorized under the tender constitution. This person here also belongs to the tender constitution type. However, this individual, Yi Ai, possesses a tough constitution. A tough constitution artist simply would not have painted him this way. This portrait reflects the artist's own physical constitution. According to the Cho Jun-hee Sasan Constitutional Medicine Research Institute, this individual originally possessed a tough constitution. The Cho Jun-hee Sasan Constitutional Medicine Research Institute also explains why these foods are good for the tender constitution. These particular foods are good for those with a tender constitution. For both tender and tough constitutions, the only food that is compatible is rice. And also wheat, salt, sugar, and other similar items are not many. So for foods other than those, it's beneficial for the tough constitution to avoid foods that are suitable for the tender constitution. So by observing these foods, even those with a tough constitution can gain valuable insights. I believe this to be true. To express my deep gratitude for the food items presented here, I will personally make a record of them myself. Yes, now I'll prepare the fabric to embroider. I've selected a cotton fabric that's ideal for embroidery. You'll notice I'm using the alphabet as a reference point. For example, rice begins with R, wheat with W, cranberry with C, and walnut with W. And that's why I've specifically chosen and prepared this material. As for the size, it's like this, these kinds of files. In Korea, this type of folder typically sells for about 1,000 to 2,000 won, which is roughly $1. Therefore, it's both convenient and cost-effective to bind these materials into a book using such folders. I've prepared the fabric in letter size specifically to be inserted into these.
준비를 할 것이고
like this the letter size paper. When it's letter size, I'll just leave this side here, the part where the letter size paper folds, and I'll only cut the middle section without touching the folded part.
가운데만 이렇게 자르겠습니다.
I'll take the fabric, fold it in half like so, and then firmly press along the folded edge with my fingers to create a distinct crease. After that, I'll carefully unfold it and proceed to mark it precisely using a heat pen. I'll mark it. I'm going to use the water erasable tracing paper to transfer the design onto the fabric.
천에다가 옮겨 그리도록 할게요.
This time I'm going to meticulously trace and sketch this weak design again onto the next available space.
베껴 그리도록 하겠습니다.
I've done so.
이렇게 했고요.
And finally,
마지막으로
I'll copy the walnut design onto the fabric.
베껴 그리도록 할게요.
Yes, I really like this color of fabric, and also this one here, it's just perfect. I also really like the color of this fabric, so I'll get another piece ready, about the size of 2 letter-sized sheets. Yes, you can also draw a line like this to properly match it here. Alternatively, you can take about 2 sheets of letter-sized paper and draw a line like so. So I've prepared the fabric like this.
준비를 했고요.
Now on here,
여기에는
yes, I traced this. White rice, salmon, cranberry, walnut. Yes. Right here on this fabric, there's something that's called a water-soluble interfacing sticker. I typed out the words on the computer, printed them out, and then affixed them to this so they could be put to good use.
프린터로 출력을 했습니다.
Now I'll cut the interfacing like this.
심지를 잘라요.
I peel off the interfacing.
심지를 떼서
And stick it on. Yes, it's the same text here. Otogi cooked rice, otogi cooked rice. Then over here it says sal, rice. This character means mi, which is Chinese for rice. So this one. If you consume this, it's a food that is suitable for all constitutional types. There are 4 constitutions, you know. So in this instance, there's a particular symbol here that perfectly represents the Taiyang Constitution, which is equivalent to the ancient Greek Air Constitution. I'm going to meticulously draw that symbol right here. Ah, as for this, the price is approximately. If you search for it, you'll find that 36 packs of otogi cooked rice cost around 30,310 Korean won, or 33,900 Korean won. So on average, one pack is roughly 1,000 Korean won, which I can tell you is about $0.7 US. The food that suits all four constitutions is like this.
이렇게
I'll try to indicate it with a drawing.
표시를 해볼게요.
So, if I were to represent it according to this diagram, the upper triangle has a crack in it, like this.
삼각형에 이렇게 금이가 있죠?
I'll just mark this here.
이거를 표시를 해주고요.
And the tender constitution is complete. For the tough constitution, there's a bar symbol at the base of the triangle underneath.
이렇게 막대기 표시가 있어요.
So I'm going to mark it right here like this.
여기에다가 이렇게 표시를 해주겠습니다.
So if you see a mark like this, it means, this is a food suitable for all constitutions. So by consuming food in this manner, not only can you economize your finances, but you can also enhance your overall well-being.
그런 식품입니다.